in the middle, you said you were born in Brazil and then you moved back to Bonn, Germany, and then you moved to Saudi Arabia.
Where did you hear this?
Part of your German set.
Well, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know my jokes better than I do. Did I say that?
Well, you used to smoke weed at that time, so that's like you have no memory. Hello, welcome to Comedy with an Accent podcast. I'm your Taiwanese comedian, Quan Wen. I interview comedians who perform English stand-up comedy but who are not native English speakers, or they can have a very distinct British regional accent. This podcast is all about comedy, about accent, about languages, and about the comedy technique. So stay tuned if you're interested. Hello, welcome back to Comedy with an Accent podcast, another episode. I'm still slowly recording the second season, so I'm a bit off my game. Please pardon me. But once again, ich bin noch einmal in Berlin. I'm in a very gentrified East Berlin Warschaustraße noisy room studio. And facing me is my guest today, the mysterious, scruffy
What?
Gino Christofaro. Thank you so much for coming on the
pleasure
podcast.
to be here.
I don't know how to introduce you. Actually, I don't know you very well.
That's the thing, yeah.
You are the guest I've had so far that I know almost nothing about. And I tried to research into you, and you have very little information.
Isn't that fun?
Isn't that fun? Or you could be a sociopath of the serial killer. So
yeah, maybe one day you'll find out. I actually run a comedy production called Serial Killer Comedy.
When you use the word production, it's a glorified term of the...
Oh, yeah, we run... We run a couple open mics and hit the road sometimes.
Okay, open
yeah.
mic. So not like a production company that
No.
pitch to TV companies, etc.
No, I also have that actually, but that's a different thing.
Yeah.
It's called Pinky Writer's Room. We do that as well.
So
yeah.
just glorified it.
Yeah. But yeah, like you said, you don't know anything about me, and just for this to be an
I know
equal
you smoke
fight,
weed.
I quit.
You quit?
Everything
Oh my
you know about
God.
me is a lie. I quit 9 months ago just to with you because I knew you're gonna only know that. But
Just so you know, I will beep out the... But it doesn't... Yeah, I just think it's really funny to...
Okay,
I don't really
so
care
no
about
cursing. I will. Okay,
No, do curse. It just
but I'll
become
curse
a beep.
less so that it's less work for you later, right?
It's not a lot of work. It's
Yeah.
actually fine. Either way, Christopher... no, Gino.
Yes.
Gino. Is Gino just Gino, or is it short for something?
It's short for something.
I
yeah.
thought so. So what is short for?
I have the most Italian name in the world. My name is Luigi Cristofaro. I leaned into the mic to say that, like ASMR.
So you're actually Luigi.
Luigi. And Gino, it's like a nickname that you give it to little kids, like not grown adults, because it comes from Luigino, which in Italian means like little Luigi.
Oh my God, I feel like I'm a
Yeah.
hate crime calling you Luigi right now. I literally just watched Mario again, and
Yeah.
the image of it being Luigi. I thought Gino is like a short version of a 5-6 syllable.
It could be also like Eugene. Sometimes the Italian version of that becomes Gino. It's like a nickname for a lot of names. Luigi has like Gigi is the most common nickname.
Ma
for
parli
permission.
italiano.
Un po'.
Un po'. Portuguese. not
Portuguese, that's the
okay.
thing, yeah.
So I'm going to direct you back because your background is way too complicated. You
Yeah.
called yourself a German-Brazilian comedian.
That's true. I don't call myself a comedian, I think.
But when you call someone German-Brazilian, it can go either way. It can be someone like Giselle Bündchen, you know,
Exactly.
like, who's Brazilian but from a very Germanic origin, right?
100%.
But you're different. You're from a mixed background.
I'm literally half-half, yeah. So like the same way Giselle Bündchen is Brazilian of German descent, I'm Brazilian of Italian descent. That's why my name is like Luigi.
Aber 50%.
Yeah, 50%, just my dad's side. And then my mom's side is 100% German. So I'm half
Somehow I feel a
German.
little bit uneasy when you say
half
100%
Brazilian.
German, especially when you're in Berlin, when you're using
I didn't say
language like that. Just
Purebred German. Purebred.
So let's forget the question about how blonde your mom is.
So I'm like, I'm half clean, is what I'm trying to say.
No, you're
But,
both on the wrong side of the Second World War.
Fully.
Yeah.
Also, when you say German and Brazilian, everyone thinks, oh, a German Nazi who fled to Brazil, like a lot of them did, and like grew up in the mountains or something, right? Because a lot of Nazis fled to Argentina and Brazil and Uruguay and stuff.
Is your father the first or second generation?
He's, I think he is second generation. He's second generation. I'm third. My great-grandfather, whose name was Luigi, came from Italy to Brazil. The whole story, $17 in his pocket, on the ship alone, no family.
God, we're stuffing kids with pasta. Jesus.
Yeah.
But still Catholic all the way.
All the way.
All
yeah.
the way. Now, I'm going to ask you, I just feel if we focus on your background, it's such a black hole. There's so much of it.
Yeah.
I'm going to start with this question, which I ask every single guest. I'm going to do that again because I think I might create a noise when I was doing that. So
You're so paranoid. That's crazy.
I know. I suffer from paranoia. That's why to do a 30-minute episode, I typically record 90 minutes just in
To
case.
be able to I have some lorazepam with me if you want.
What is that?
It's like Ativan, like Xanax.
I don't feel I can trust anything come out of your pocket, so I was politely declined.
You're
But
too
thank
anxious
you
to take anxiety medication.
I'm not just anxious, I'm also cautious. And I
That's
think
good.
there's
That's
enough rationality in me knowing
100%.
that say no to Gino. Say no to Gino.
It's the same thing. I wouldn't say yes to me. And also, I've had these, a doctor gave them to me for a taping like 2 years ago, and I only used one pill.
Yeah.
Out of 20, and I now have 19 left, and they're gonna expire soon. I just have them on me in case I fly or like
That's
I have
really
a
hurtful.
high stress
You only give
situation.
Asian about to expire stuff. Is that how you treat people?
I would take one too.
So my first question, I'm going to ask you the typical question to avoid the black hole of your background. Do you think when you speak English, you have an accent?
Yes, I mean, for sure. I mean, everyone has an accent, right?
Don't
But
give me that crap. You know,
Okay,
I'm talking about in colloquial terms, like, you have a bit of accent, you know, like when people say that.
Yeah.
Do you?
So I don't think I have a strong accent. It fluctuates. It depends how long I'm, like, for example, when I'm doing German comedy, my English accent gets a little worse. When I was living in the U.S., I definitely had an accent, and it took me almost 4 years of living in the U.S. to get rid of my German or foreign accent. And then exactly when I had an American accent, I moved back to Germany, and I had an accent while I was speaking in German. And everyone was like, your German sounds weird. And Germans are so rude about it. They're like, why do you sound like that? Like, they're just attacking you. Like, what's, because, like, if you're a native speaker who talks funny, you're just stupid. If you're like an expat who's speaking German and you have an accent, they're like, oh, wow, congrats. Like, you're doing all right. But with me, they're like, when you do stand-up and you say a word wrong as a native speaker, they're like, is something wrong with you? You know?
But do they not just treat you potentially as a English speaker who speak very fluent German? Has it ever been that case?
No, because my German accent, because it's my mother tongue, you can hear it's my native language. But then you're like, something's off with this guy. Maybe he's just a little slow, or maybe he sounds like a German who lived abroad for very long, like something like that. And then in English now, I think pretty much everyone always assumes I'm American when they meet me, usually straight up, even other Americans. Typically, they think I'm from New York, or I watch too many mobster movies.
I wish there's a native English speakers in the room right now because you're so quintessentially American. I feel like when I'm talking to you, you're about to jump on the topic of how you go into your ranch to shoot, you know, like you take your rifle, just shoot the animals. Like, ugh. And that's the whole vibe. It's the whole package.
But it's the different
It's
American.
not just the accent. It's the whole vibe.
That's the vibe I give. I have Doc Martin.
No, you
I cursed again.
completely
That's Doc
ruined
Martin boots.
me because I thought you're going to come in your usual attire, which is sort of posh homeless.
Yeah, hobo chic.
You tend to wear a beanie. And you came in like a corporate drone. I was like, what happened to you? Like you start working for the legal department of a big conglomerate. Like,
I mean, I'm wearing blue jeans. I'm a blue jeans kind of guy still. I always wore these kind of clothes
it's
too.
the hair. Because last time I saw you, you have
the
almost
beanie.
shaven hair and with the beanie. So you have the almost style revamp.
So that always fluctuates. We could really dig into this. First of all, I have hair issues. I have real anxiety about my hair. So a lot of times when I started doing
As in
comedy,
balding?
no, not that.
Not that.
Not that. Even since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
Because I've moved countries so many times, always seemed like I was a year behind on every hair trend. So when I had the ball cut, the long hair, everyone had that in my school. I moved schools, everyone had the buzz cut.
Hang on a second. Did you just use the term fear to describe your hairstyle is not trendy?
Yeah, but if you
Gino,
are...
I don't know you well, but your superficial attitude to a hairstyling really.
You understand? You know how brutal it is to... Sorry, I need water. You know how... See, I'm choking up talking about hair. It's like moving...
Brutal.
countries.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry for your first world problem that your hair may not be considered...
Oh, I was having first world problems in third world countries. I was moving every 3 years. So that's my other background that you probably don't know. I moved countries every 3 years growing up. And
Okay, let's talk about it because this is crucial.
this is all connected to hair.
It's debunking, right? We're going to come into the black hole now. Now, I say to you, I have no information until I discover you included in a bit of your German set. And your German set was difficult because you really talk Umgangssprache. Your German is really strict to me. It's
really?
It's not the textbook German I know of. So in the middle, you said you were born in Brazil and then you moved back to Bonn, Germany, and then you moved to Saudi Arabia.
Where did you hear this?
part of your German set.
Well, really?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
You know my jokes better than I do. Did I say that?
Well, you used to smoke weed at that time, so that's
Yeah.
like you have no memory.
Wow.
And then you talk about Argentina or Venezuela, I think. And
Argentina,
then
yeah.
the video cut you off.
Yeah.
I'll give you now the mic, and you can have the full version.
Right. And this will all get back to the hair thing and the beanie thing. It's all connected. So I was born in Brazil.
Never took so long just to get through the first question, I have to say.
I have a New York accent, I think, or like Jersey, New York accent.
I
Kind of,
thought
like
your
an
accent
old
is
school.
coffee. You don't.
Coffee.
Yeah, you don't do the Woody Allen.
coffee?
Yeah, like
Oh,
a
coffee?
Mariah Carey
No,
thing.
but that's like a little bit over the top. That's like old school. That's old school, but I have I sometimes like when I'm drunk, I do sound a little bit more like that. But like even that, I do like it's do.
Yeah.
Or like two. I don't say two. I say two. Sometimes it comes out, but people always tell me like, "Why do you sound like that? You sound like an old Italian American guy." That's not how people your age speak in New York. They all sound like
I have a
very
bit of
generic.
a problem with Italian Americans.
Oh, really?
Because I was walking in Little Italy. Not only were they under siege from the Chinatown, so
Yeah.
also they dared to call arancini rice balls, and I think that's very disrespectful.
That's brutal. That's brutal. That is actually an offense
I'm like,
as a European.
how could you call yourself Italian when you don't even know the word arancini?
They're not even Italian. Dude, the thing is, Little Italy. I'm going on a rant right now.
We're gonna get some death threat from the Italian American mafia.
Dude, not even because Little Italy is run by Albanians, and they have one of the biggest mafias right now.
If you don't have any hot facts to back this up, you're
I do.
potentially
I know,
being
100%.
very racist.
Anyone from anyone from Little Italy, tell me it's not true. You guys are all Albanians. It is true. First of all, I used to live close to Little Italy. I went all the time. I always talk to them. All Albanians. By the way, Albanians and Italians are like this. They're tight. And a lot of times, Albanians speak perfect Italian already because during the Soviet Union, they used to steal television satellite from Italy to get open public television. So out of entertainment, they watch Italian movies and Italian shows. So because it's like right there across the Baltic Sea or whatever it is. So they speak perfect Italian. All of them live
Is
there.
it not Adriatic?
I think so.
Baltic Sea is on the flip side of the continent, and you call yourself
Indian Ocean.
You call yourself European.
It's part of the American accent.
Now you're
I
the
just
that
fucked
your
up the
whole
geography.
package, the vibe, the accent, the way you sit, also ignorance when it comes to geography. It's
Yeah.
so American.
Hey, I'm crossing my legs. That's pretty European, though, no? People always think that looks very European. I think it's like a little Italian. I slouch always, like I always lean against stuff. Like my back sucks. I always think that's a very Italian thing
I
to
think
do.
we have to ultimately come back to your upbringing. So you were
Oh
just
yeah, and my hair.
So do
The
you
hair.
want to concentrate on the problem of Italy being run by Albanians, or do you want to concentrate on your upbringing first?
Little Italy is run by Albanians, not Italy. There's a big difference. Albania runs the world, really, if you think about it. The drug trade, it's all Albania.
So you're
now.
saying Beyonce should edit her video, say, who runs the world?
Albania.
Albanians. Okay.
Who runs the world? Albania. And then do the eagle with the hand, like their logo. You know that?
Maybe you're right, because Dua Lipa is just so... Is she from Albania? I think so, right?
I think so, yeah.
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 Dua Lipa was sent by God to punish Rita Ora, because Rita Ora was too lazy. And just
Yeah.
trying to do those corporate gigs in Dubai
Yeah.
and not abide by COVID rules. Or God say, I'm going to send Dua Lipa to destroy your career.
Yeah.
It's called karma. Isn't that beautiful?
You live in London, right? Do they feel like Dua Lipa represents the UK, puts the UK on the map?
I don't think people care.
They don't think about it.
I always think the typical Dua Lipa fan that I'm aware of would think London is in isolation. London is London.
Right.
We are deviating so much. So are we going to come back to your upbringing or not?
We can,
You
but
can,
also
we should.
Dua Lipa is a strong topic. I went on a date with a dancer, and she said Dua Lipa is one of the worst dancers she's ever seen online. She was like, Dua Lipa's dance moves suck. And I was like, I thought it looked great to me. Like,
I smell jealousy from every Johnson who can't go anywhere in her career.
I think so too. I think so too. All right, so
Okay,
I was
this
born
is
in...
working. The recording is working because when I was laughing, there's a spike. See? I'm happy. So this is working.
That's good. I'm going to count the spikes later on. That's like a metric to see how this podcast
And
is
we
going.
are going to come back to your upbringing. I'm talking about this for the 5th time.
Yeah.
So now, Gino, Luigi. So
Yeah.
you were born in
Brazil. Yeah. And my German mom was living in Brazil for her job. She works for embassies and stuff.
Oh, I thought she was like a cliche liberal. She went to Brazil to find herself. And
No, she got lost in
abducted.
Brazil. She went there working for German embassies and consulates and stuff, like the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Met my dad. They had 2 kids, and then they kept moving for my mom's job around. So then I moved to Bonn, Germany, when it was still the capital, right after. Then Saudi Arabia, then Argentina, then India.
Why does your mom only get a dodgy country? I'm sorry to put it like
There's
that.
a whole explanation.
But how come she never get the first one?
Those were her first choices.
Oh.
That's the thing. You gotta be strategic with it.
Oh my God, your mom is that typical kind of white woman.
No. This is how they measure these countries, the embassy. I hope I don't get in trouble for this. I think
She's
it's
like,
fine.
show me the world.
She's gonna
Show
retire
me
in a couple of years.
Savannah.
It's a little bit like that. First of all, my mom, she wanted to get out of Germany as soon as possible, right? She was like, from a small town, it was boring as hell. She went to a university town, it was still boring. She's like, I want to explore the world. She moved to Cuba first when she was like 25. The way they measure your salary is the better the quality of life is, the less you're going to get paid. Or the more similar it is to German to Berlin. It's actually on a scale of 1 to 20, these countries, how they measure it.
So your mom wants a luxurious lifestyle.
18, 19, 20. Those were our numbers. Because you get paid like 5 times to 10 times
So
your
she was
normal salary.
strategic.
Yeah, of course.
And she fell for your dad.
Well, Brazil was actually not that far down on the list. He's like a solid, he was up there on the scale. Yeah. So we kept moving countries all the time. And back to the hair. So boys in schools, they always have the same haircuts when you're a little kid. Everyone has like, oh, that guy has a buzz cut now. The cool kid has a buzz cut. We all got to get buzz cuts now. Or like, oh, this celebrity has this haircut. David Beckham has this haircut. Now we all got to get the same haircut. So it's always like a pack thing. And I would have one haircut from one school and then move to the next school. And also I was like short, high-pitched voice. My name was Luigi. You know, I was coming in there to fight.
You are a very tall guy right now.
Yeah. I was the shortest in my class always. And like high-pitched voice, I hit puberty
Is your
late.
mom taller than your dad?
No. But my dad's pretty tall for like a genetically Italian man.
There's so many problematic components of that sentence. My dad is tall for
genetically Italian. What's wrong with that? That's just factual. That's like my German side's coming out. Well, for a Brazilian, you can't say he's tall for a Brazilian because Brazil is so diverse. But for like, he's 3rd generation. And Italians are always short. Like they are. So now Albania hates me. Italy hates me. Let's see how many countries can hate me.
This is a very fun episode, but I find it's going to be incredibly difficult to edit this episode because we're about 20 minutes in and we have talked so little actually about you.
But we're having fun.
We are. I was saying it's a fun episode, but it will be super difficult to edit. So
yeah.
I get the idea. We are moving from one country, maybe slightly behind in terms of fashion trend, moving to a country B and suddenly realize you have the shittest haircut.
Yeah, and then it's like the last thing I need because I'm already coming in having to fight to be in the school. Everyone already didn't want me there. You have that haircut that we all had a year ago? Screw that. So I'm always like, and then I got a buzz cut and I moved countries. I was like, why do you have a buzz cut? You look like a skinhead, whatever.
And that's why you like to wear a beanie?
I worry about my hair quite a lot. Like I always fix it with my hair. Can you hear that? ASMR? I always fix it. So on stage, a lot of times I would worry that it would look weird on stage. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to wear a beanie or a hat. And in New York also, it's really American culture. You always wear hats anyway, right? Like you wear a Yankees hat or whatever. In Europe, so not okay. Here it's considered lazy.
Maybe that's a plus that make the millennial audience, they see themselves in you.
Oh, you think, yeah, this is good for reach?
Yeah, just getting anxious over hairstyles. It's such a personal problem.
Of course it is. Of course. That was.
I now have to manipulate you like a puppeteer.
Please do.
So I'm going to remember all the interesting things. We're going to come back to that because I do think what you're talking about, there's a very important point I'll raise later. There's inherent sadness in you.
Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah.
Yeah, but we'll come to that later because once we go there, we won't be able to savage this episode. So we'll leave it to the end. Right. So you are a nomad, not because of your choice, because of your mom's career.
Yeah.
What is your home city? Where's home?
That's tough. I guess Berlin. Berlin is home. It's also now, technically, since this year, probably the longest I've ever lived somewhere is Berlin. I identify more with New York culture in a weird way, but I'm not even American. I can't even live there. So
But New York is quite distinct, isn't it? It's very American, but New York is so New York.
It's a very specific. So I guess New York has a special place in my heart. I try to go back once a year for like 3 to 4 weeks. But Berlin is where I can go back to, where I feel comfortable. When you go on tour and you're like, all these cities kind of look weird, and you go back to Berlin, you're like, all right, okay, I'm back home. You can feel it. Yeah, but I hate it still at the same time.
Berlin is your home now, but where's your childhood home? You probably don't really have one, right?
I never had one.
You constantly were on the move.
But every 2 or 3 years, the ministry makes you move back to Germany. So even when we were traveling and moving countries, we always had a house or an apartment in Berlin. The consulates or the embassy, they kind of subsidize your local housing. So every summer we could go back to Berlin, but it was not like this Berlin, not Friedrichshain. It was a little bit further out where you would raise kids. You had like fields. And
the suffocating Berlin.
Yeah, like there's no people after 9 p.m. on the street. It's kind of scary to walk out at night because there's no one.
And that question for me is important in the context of this podcast because there's something a lot of people cannot relate. When people don't know, because the way you come across, audience will form an expectation of who you are, who they think you are. They're trying to guess who you are.
Yeah.
And you just come across it either very international or very Americanized person. They may got the wrong idea that, I don't know, like would they think, are you trying too hard to fake American? Like, what the is wrong with you? Are you even German or not? You seem a bit too cool as a German guy. At first glance, you seem like a typical German who ran away that settled in Berlin, right? It's a cliche type of German guy. They try to pretend they are more fun and more relaxed than ordinary, stereotypical German. But the fact is, these kind of German typically have a very German side of them.
I know those Germans that you're talking about. Yeah. And I've got accused many times in the beginning, at least, for me, like, oh, you're putting on this New York accent.
That's what I'm saying.
Trying to be American.
You are incredibly true to yourself.
Yeah.
But because a lot of people fake to be someone like you. So when you are being yourself, audience may think you're one of those fakers. That's where my question
100%.
is.
It's a good question. Since I had no identity in the beginning, I was going with the German one at first, but always like a German in Saudi Arabia or a German in India. My German was even not that good back then. Like it was my mother tongue, but my mom would make me take German classes over summer break and stuff.
Does your mom speak proper German or does she speak like a provincial?
No, she speaks Hochdeutsch. She can like slip into the Baden-Württemberg, the Schwäbisch one where she's from, but not really. Like maybe a word. She loves to throw in some English words here and there because both my parents also watch a lot of TV. And that's the real answer to my accent is like, sure, I hung out in New York and I hung out with people who talk like this, but also I grew up watching every sitcom or every drama that takes place in New York. Like when you live in Saudi Arabia, there's nothing to do. You can play video games, which I'm like not super into, or you can watch a bunch of movies and shows just to kill time. That's why when it was time to choose where do I want to move after when I'm alone finally and I'm not traveling with my parents, I was like, well, it's New York. My sister said the same thing. We're like, no, obviously New York. Let's go to that place that we've been staring at for the longest time. A similarity between Italian Brazilians and Italian Americans. There's this over-the-top Italianness that is like not even how Italians act. You know, they're trying to overcompensate in their Italianness.
Like caricature of Italian.
Yeah, like Italian Americans are not very authentically Italian. They miss it all the time.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
My dad, he's more Italian than Italian Americans, I would say, because he also lived in Europe a bit, and like we used to go visit Italy all the time with the car and try and drive there and pick up stuff. He went back to the town that we're from in Italy and reconnected with our family.
Sounds like a TV program.
I know. And now there's a big family fight and we don't talk to each other anymore over some money, apparently. So I couldn't even go back and talk to my old relatives. I don't know if that's actually 100% true or what else.
Your cousins, Cucini, you don't talk to your dad's side of the family. Not that you don't talk to your dad. I just want to...
No, I talk to my dad.
Yeah.
I don't talk to like the people from my family that stayed in this little town that we're from in the middle of nowhere. I think I have some of them on Facebook. I've never talked to them.
Okay, so coming back to the comedy side, you mentioned a very key phrase. You say being someone with no identity. Is it no identity or is it just very difficult to pin down an identity?
Yeah, I think I have like little traits from different places. Like you said, I'm not really hiding my Germanness. I'm actually quite vocal about how German I can be a lot of times. I do jokes about it on stage. Ask any ex-girlfriend of mine, they'll be like, oh, he has definitely some German qualities in him, for better or for worse. The New York identity kind of matches both the German and the Brazilian one for different reasons, because it's like a melting pot. So this direct rudeness, you find that in Germany and in New York. And then this like ball busting where you make fun of someone, like you roast them a little bit, you wind them up, but no, but I love you though. Like that is also like Italian American and Italian Brazilian. Like my grandpa used to always do jokes about me at the dinner table, but like in a loving way. And then my German mom kind of taught me on how you do it the right way. If someone gets on your nerves, you call them out on it.
But the German directness is slightly different from the New York one. I think the New York one is slightly meaner spirit.
I think the New York one's a little more charming. Like it's easier to swallow.
No, it's abrasive. I would think the German one, I could forgive it more. They don't think about the intricacy, whereas I think sometimes New Yorkers enjoy being rude to an extent.
I think they do, but at the end of the day, they know that you don't really hate them. And I feel like when a German talking to you and they're like complaining about something, I think they genuinely hate you. And they have this thing where they're like very easy to call you out on a mistake or something that they think you're doing wrong, and at the same time seem shy. Like they don't commit to the anger. Like a New Yorker will fully commit, like, hey, I'm angry at you now, or what, you want to go outside? Like it keeps going. Germans will like complain and you say something back, they'll just look away and like walk away very quickly.
I don't think it's that you don't have an identity. If you imagine the typical identity we see, we hear, or we know of, is think of them as a brand or a product off the shelf. Your case is more like a homemade curry. Every Indian family, you never know how their mom, they just have like a pinch of this, a pinch of that.
Yeah.
So you are a version of a homemade curry. We don't actually know the composition much.
Yeah.
It exists. It just doesn't exist in such quantity you could see them off the shelf. Does that make sense to you?
It's not like a fusion kitchen where you're like, okay, it's Mexican and Korean put together.
Yeah, you don't have a very strict recipe. It must be 50% coriander and then 2%, I don't know, some other powders.
Yeah.
So there is one. The problem is it's not one that's off the shelf. So does it make it difficult for you? How much time you have to spend on explaining yourself when you do? Let's start with English comedy because you do both English and German. If you do English comedy, I think Berlin crowd would be the easiest because in Berlin, people are used to people coming from all the places. The identity background can be a bit messy. It's not really a big deal.
Yeah.
So it might be slightly easier. But still, how much time do you have to just explain what deal you are about? Why am I so weird and different? You never see someone like me.
I mean, my comedy style, I don't really, when I feel like going down that lane, I mention it in the premise and I do it. But from the get-go, I don't have to explain everything about me. A lot of times I'm just like, hey, I'm German, or I'm German-Brazilian, I'm half-half, or I'm based in Berlin. I keep it very short because sometimes I just want to do like observational comedy or just something that I came up with that week and it's not connected to my whole identity. Sometimes I just had this idea for a joke and I want to just tell it.
Have you ever done it without even saying where you're from? Just say, hi, I'm Gino, and by the way, I noticed this yesterday. Do you do that?
Yeah, I've done that before. Like if it's like a 7-minute set or something, for
and
sure.
That's fine, Berlin. You
That's
can
fine
do that
everywhere.
Berlin. Or have you gigged in America before?
Yeah, I've done like a few gigs in New York. Not like a ton. I've done like maybe 6 to 10 shows in New York, and there I just say I'm based in Berlin, and they kind of know. And then sometimes I do say I'm half Brazilian, half German, but they kind of sometimes think, oh, he's an American who's half Brazilian and half German. Because there everyone says, I'm Italian, and they mean like they're Italian American. So
yeah, they treat nationality like ethnicity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's so hard to explain. Like I tell it more like if I have to for a joke. Like if I have a joke about Saudi Arabia, I say, by the way, I'm like an embassy kid. I grew up moving countries every 3 years, and I lived in Saudi Arabia. It's actually quite fast if you think about it to set it up.
So your
it takes
English
some time to process.
Comes so natural to the New Yorkers. They don't even question. They feel you're kind of part of them.
I could be from like, I don't know, like Rhode Island or something. They're like, you're not from here, but you're not from far away or something.
Staten Island, rather.
Staten Island. Yeah. That's like the legit accent though. So I don't know. They don't really, just doesn't stand out. They don't think about it when I speak there. Some of my friends met me now again since college. And they're like, oh, I thought you would have a thicker German accent now that you're gone. And I was like, well,
Now, when you go outside Berlin within Germany, you mentioned that sometimes they say, what is wrong with your German? What does it sound so weird? Or does that still happen to you?
I can like they only notice.
Do you get questioned of your Germanness basically?
All the time. Well, with the name like Luigi, you get questioned about everything all the time. New York already, it's a little bit of like, oh, what are you, like 60 years old? Like you're a pizza maker who's 60? Like why is your name Luigi? Because it's kind of like an old name. In German also, they question it. They always think that I'm not going to be German initially. And then when I speak German, they're very surprised.
Because of the styling or the look?
No, I think I dress kind of like Berlin-esque, Berlin, New York-esque. What you were saying before that when you met me, I was more like hobo chic with the beanie and the I don't care kind of look. That was I wasn't like
a bit sort of
relationships
scruffy,
where I don't have to try.
a bit scruffy around the edges, and it's not a very German look. So your attire led them to believe initially that this might not be a German guy.
Yeah, but I think that was more like influenced by like the American style where you're like just dress comfy, dress how you want. Especially when I was not out dating, I really didn't care. I was like, oh, I like beanie for the stage thing. Let's see if I can grow a beard. Let's try growing a beard.
So you don't decide on the beanie to manipulate their expectation of you. How do I phrase the question? So, for example, there are comedians who like to be a bit surreal. And they just do really, really weird jokes. And to accompany that stage persona, they will wear oversized jumpers. And then they look like an old geek. Without even speaking, people already start laughing. Then you talk about that kind of surreal joke is on brand. So the whole design of the oversized, big, lumpy jumper is intentional. In your case, it wasn't. It's how you like to dress yourself.
And it was at the same time. I was already like, I had like a grunge fashion before. Anyway, I used to listen to a lot of grunge music and punk rock and stuff in New York. And there it's very common. Just boots, jeans, flannel, beanie. That's it. That's the look. It's very easy, very simple. And then the beanie was just so I would stop touching my hair all the time, because I thought it was distracting from my set. It was like my tick on stage.
Why is that? Have you ever worked out the reason?
It's the hair issues that we were. Don't get back into the hair issues. It was like a 10-minute segment. I don't do it anymore, though. I still wear a lot of flannel and stuff, but also I just kind of incorporate a little bit more like European style or like simplicity. I just don't want to worry about what I'm wearing today. If you wear black all the time, you're like a monk. You're like, all right, this is the outfit I'm wearing today. It's like the orange thing, easy, done. And the beanie was like the shaven head. I'm like, what do I have to do with my hair tonight? Doesn't matter. Boom. Like focus on what's actually important. But I also do think a little bit in the beginning, I was kind of like leaning into the I don't care look to maybe like protect myself. Hey, I'm not taking this super seriously. So if I bomb, I didn't care anyway. Look how I was dressed.
Have you thought about this? That you were aware this is a self-protection mechanism?
Or even like I used to think that I kind of have one of those faces that sometimes people don't want to like initially. Like I kind of have like these squinty eyes that when I tell a joke, people are like, this guy is kind of mean or kind of douchey. I'm told that I look like a boy sometimes. I gotta bleep that too. Sorry.
No, it's fine.
That one, keep that one in. Yeah.
Maybe they're just jealous of you being good looking. You think?
Or
I know why. I know why. Because of Instagram, there are just too many influencers who do nothing but just like show off their muscle in their face and with a background track music. So when you come out to say, I'm a comedian, I'm gonna tell you some jokes, and you're just one of those Instagram.
Yeah, you want attention. That's why you're here.
You're
you want us to look at you
without the talent or the merit. Yeah.
And you're not here for that. You're just here for some attention. And I was actually like one of the most anxious comics on the lineups in the beginning, trying not to have a panic attack on stage. And then I was thinking about that too. And also I was not good, because who is in the first couple of years of starting out, right?
But how long were you not good, you would say?
I think I got like solid, got where I was like finally kind of happy with it, maybe like 4 years in.
Really? And what kept you going?
Well, like, I would do well here and there, but I'm harsh with myself. I kind of found that I'm maybe not going to be one of the best joke writers at one point, or like stand-up comedians, but I really noticed I like roasting, doing roast battles, or I really like hosting, actually. And a lot of people are like, you're good at that. You make people feel welcome and friendly pretty fast, and you're kind of sharp. I didn't like my stand-up after a while. Like, I still sometimes don't. You have those moments, right? But I think I'm getting somewhere. You got to keep going. And it was fun to just hang out with friends and keep doing it, you know? Now I can dress the way I want because I don't care about what people think about me up there. One German comedian once told me when I was still like in that beanie, beard, flannel phase, and I was wearing sweatpants that day, I think, too. God.
Oh my God, you wear sweatpants.
Just that day, but
sweatpants
I was
on
just
stage.
like,
God.
Oh, yeah. I did that for 2 days straight. I just didn't take my sweatpants off. He told me, like, you're the ugliest good-looking guy I've ever seen in my life. You don't try at all. Do you have something to work with here, and you just threw it all away. And then I was like, okay. And then now, like, I saw another comic in the German scene. They only see me like once a year, and they're like, "Well, you said today, you're like, you look so clean and corporate." Corporate's funny. I got holes in my shoes, but
you look like you're from a non-profit making call center in a big corporate.
Oh yeah,
walking in the studio today.
Well, it's just the black and the. The black?
It's the Clark Kent glasses.
Oh, that was those glasses. Yeah.
But now that you explain it, do you not think that phase was actually very useful? Because I feel you're using stand-up as a way to find your true self because you are very not sure who you are. So that sort of meandering, that phase, I would say is very instrumental. It's quite important for you to experience that. Say, you know what, I'm going to go through a period of not really caring about what I want to do. I'm going to go through a period of heavy smoking weed. And now that you've been through that and you get a bit older, you decide to change. I would think that experience is better than never having done it and then think about it in 10, 20 years time, that what would I have failed if I had done that?
Yeah, the finding yourself through comedy thing, I definitely see that. Comedy was one of the few things where I was like, these are my people. These comics remind me of everyone I went to school with. This is the closest that I have to an international school where like everyone's from a different country. We all have our own stories to share. That's why I really liked the scene in Berlin. Everyone was so welcoming. Yeah, I do feel like who knows themselves, right? No one really truly knows themselves. I'm very passionate about certain things. I know those things. Knowing who I am exactly, I'm getting there, but I do know what I kind of like, what my belief system is a little bit more than ever.
What I thought was this comedian has a life trajectory that is so different. He will be able to see things and write jokes from an angle 80-90% of comedians I know can't do. Not because we are limited in our capacity, because our heritage or the system that breed us, we never had that such variety, that crazy change. You had to move a country every 3 years. So you grew up in transition. And that forged a brain that's completely different from a lot of people like me who grew up mostly in one or two places.
Right.
Your experience made you such a unique person.
I don't have a ton of jokes about that topic specifically, but I think one of the things I learned from moving around a lot is how to make friends quickly. I was always like the extroverted kid anyway. Friends, like I had 3 years time. I had to make friends as quickly as possible. Second year, they were my best friends. Then I got to spend 1 year with my best friends, and then I would move. That's why I like hosting and getting to know the crowd, because someone once told me, you seem like you actually want to know where they're from and if they are a couple and what do they do for work. Yeah, of course I do. And they're like, well, we just all say it, but no one. And they're like, you seem like you actually want to. I could never. I don't care about these audience members. I just want to do my bits. I'm like, I genuinely want to know every single person in this room, which is not like a quality that a lot of people have. I don't know. From moving so much, I just think I can tell there's always something interesting about someone when you dig deep enough. We're all more similar than we like to say we are. You know, all these countries that apparently are all so different. It's basically the same stuff, just in different formulas here and there.
You
should follow me because I will bond with you. I've made more eye contact with this camera than he has, right? So what does that say? You should follow me.
You look at that camera because you're worried about your hair. No, I think you have a very good ability to observe because you work almost constantly the outsider.
Yeah.
And you're always trying to fit in. And that gives you that pressure to really look at that group in an analytical way and find the gap to just whoosh in.
Yeah, where can I fit in here? Yeah, for sure.
Joke you have on flat white, I don't think I can ever do it, but I'm not criticizing you for doing it.
Oh, that's a joke from 5 years ago. Yeah,
I know. I was shocked when I hear that. I was like, wow, it's a good gap, but you really went for it. And I thought, would I do it? I don't think I will have the courage to do it.
Yeah,
right?
that was only in German anyway. It doesn't work in another language. That's like a joke I do when I still did German comedy because I basically almost quit. I used to do that when there was like a lot of 40, 50-year-old people plus. It's like an old-timey German cabaret kind of joke. So when you're trying to do something more Americanized and they're just not laughing and you got to get off stage, you do this little joke and then you get off. It will always work with older Germans. Like, I don't know what it is.
Okay. So it's like
it's insulting, self-deprecating. It has everything they want in one little
like
pocket.
Their music style choice is Schlager and their comedy choice is this.
Flat White is the Schlager of jokes.
I really cannot repeat what he said as a flat white joke, but if you DM me, I might explain to you. It's just too rude, even for my liking.
But you know the girlfriend that I'm talking about in that joke?
Yeah.
She loves that joke. She was the one who was like, that's a bit, you should write it down.
I know, but then some people can take the joke, some people can't.
Man, I'm doing a roast battle taping tomorrow. I'm going to have to say some terrible, terrible things to this 21-year-old Sri Lankan woman tomorrow. With roasting especially, I go like extra hard. Because even in German TV, sometimes they're like, I wouldn't say that necessarily or something.
No, if you,
like,
I think you have to go for it.
I'm like, but that's the challenge. who can say something meaner? And sure, it's supposed to be clever and witty, and like you're showing off logic and joke writing abilities. But if there's a joke that is like logical and well constructed, has like this little fake away, and it's like super mean too, I mean, I'm gonna keep that part, the super mean part. But I will take the hit if the crowd boos me or like hates it. I'm gonna just stand there and like own it because I wanted to say this. If you guys were not ready for this, I don't care. You guys were bought to sit here in the audience of this taping. I don't care. This is a roast battle. What did you guys think was gonna happen here? And even that's like what I say sometimes.
Okay, I wish you good luck in Bocca di Lupo. Now,
in there.
the inherent sadness. As I say, I'm sorry to say what I'm going to say right now because I don't know you very well.
Yeah.
Under normal circumstances, I wouldn't bring this up, but we are in a podcast context, right?
Yeah.
I noticed there's inherent sadness in you.
Oh, I thought you were going to say we're out of time.
No, we're not. I booked ample time. I'm Asian. I'm so well organized.
Wow, you made it sound like I'm sorry to have to bring this up because and then
No. This is a bit of like I don't want to make you cry or something, but it's a bit of a warning.
Yeah.
And I got to know you last time I came to Berlin, and I watched you host a show. Just by watching you host a show, even though I haven't seen a lot of your material, I feel like this comedian genuinely loves comedy, and he is naturally funny. He isn't trying to become someone who he isn't on stage. You are absolutely who you are. It's just who you are as a little bit up. And I don't know why. I always sense that despite that puppy smile, there's always a bit of sadness in you.
I think
that's
so
why
too,
I feel.
Yeah, and
is it loneliness from having to move between you're never with your friends, or what is it that?
I was always a super happy child. I don't know. Probably what you saw in the Vidura documentary. It was just like a very rough patch in my life when I was like 20. I mean, you're going to call it first world problems or something, whatever.
No. I promise. I'll zip this time.
You're like,
I can't play that card all the time.
Tragic moment. What happened?
No, the comedy effect of that snipey comment is gone. So
no, I like it too, though. So I think I had like a little existential crisis when I was 20, and ever since that time, I bounced back. Like I'm a happy person again. I like to enjoy life again, but I just like my whole lifestyle kind of changed, and I have and I had depression for sure. Been under control for a while there, even without medication or any therapy, but I did have to be on it at a while. Yeah, so it's there, it's in there, but I don't see comedy as a way of distracting me from it. It's just like it's a little bit in there. I think maybe that's why also I didn't like my jokes. I feel like there's more in my head going on and I can't express it because I don't have the skill set yet to do it.
You were like learning the A1 level of the comedy language.
Exactly.
And now you have a better command of
like
this language.
Like the flat white joke, and then you do this, and then you do that, and then later on...
Comedy, it just becomes a way of naturally coexisting with the depression or anxiety you may have.
Yeah.
Because you're not trying to eradicate it.
No.
You just want to harness it and keep it under control.
Exactly.
And you doing comedy is your life choice, lifestyle now. And it's all a pattern to say, let everything flow nicely and smoothly.
Exactly. Like you get your adrenaline rush from something that's healthy instead of something unhealthy. You have a feeling of community, which is super important with depression as well. And essentially talk therapy, you get to decide what to talk about. No one gets to tell you what to do. You do it yourself. That's what I really like. And that's kind of half the reason why I didn't want to start posting so much on social media. I was like, that's the opposite of what stand-up comedy gives me. What I liked was the freedom, the lack of anxiety. It would reduce my anxiety. Social media increases my anxiety. I have to start caring about what works, what doesn't work, what I should do more of and what I shouldn't. And honestly, I do ask other comedians sometimes for advice. Hey, what do you think I should do better and stuff? But people that I respect, I don't want like some random people telling me, oh, this is garbage, you should never do that, I snooze or whatever. Or even the good comments. It doesn't mean anything to me from these people. It means something from my peers. So stand-up comedy has like a special place for me. I don't know if my growth is coming from stand-up comedy or is it coming from just aging, like getting older. Like,
when you say growth, do you mean comedic career or do you mean sort of as a person?
Do you think comedic career? Look at me here right now. Like,
you are a writer for big German channels.
Yeah, but I meant more just like in life, just like growing as a person, mental health wise.
But even at the expense of doing stand-up English may just be semi-hobby, semi-professional-ish. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, I've been talking to people about that very recently, like 2 days ago. When I was younger, I was like, my dream, especially before the whole reel boom, TikTok and YouTube and Instagram, I want to be like some of these comics that I saw in New York growing up. Like, we want to be a guy who performs at the Cellar, and I don't need to be super famous. I just want to be like a little famous, like in my bubble, like Mark Maron famous. If you know me, you love me, but I can still walk down the street and no one will recognize me most of the time. That kind of famous. And now I don't even want that. What I want is I want to do English comedy forever, but as a passion, like as purpose. And German comedy too, because I used to always say you can't do both. When one is going well, the other one's not going well. It's hard to balance both, but I just realized, why am I making these plans that probably are not going to work? Like, just do both, see where it takes you, stop planning life so much. And the big umbrella that's keeping all my savings together is going to be TV writing. And this writer's room that I'm launching with my writing partner, that is going to be the ultimate goal, is sell a show to someone, become a showrunner, and let stand-up comedy be its own thing that just keeps you sharp, keeps you creative, keeps it fun. Don't ruin that for yourself by having to go on like...
You mean a TV show when you are the producer, rather than a stand-up comedy solo show?
No, yeah, exactly. Like a sitcom or a dramedy, and you are the showrunner, like you directed yourself, or you're the head writer. That's what I studied in university. That's always what I wanted. So going back to that, and then keep comedy, stand-up comedy as for what it is for me right now, my safe space where I go to relax, have fun in German and in English, and not worry about it. And also post some more on social media and screw it. If it pulls, it doesn't pull, it doesn't matter. Just do it as it goes. And the big end goal is not to become the biggest comedian ever. Or even, I don't know how some of these European comics do it. They do like 200 gigs a year on tour. That's also not for me. I realized that very quickly after going on tour. I love going on tour for 10 days max. That's about it. I figured that out lately. It's nice. That's why I'm more at peace lately. It's because I just kind of know a little bit roughly what the game plan is. That can still change, but...
So on German comedy, you say that you quit, but you're not going back into it.
I mean, I'm literally doing a German gig tomorrow. The thing is, I had basically quit. I was like, both is impossible for me. I can't balance it out. And then
But you didn't hate it per se. You didn't say, I really dislike doing
No,
comedy.
I like some nights, yeah. The lows are lower than in the English scene, and the highs are even higher because you're like, I just crushed in German. And there's like, they're native speakers. They get what you're saying. It's like performing in London.
Are you implying they're a harder audience to please? I think that's what Freddie told me. Like,
they are harder to please because it's like new to them, this whole alternative thing, and generally they're not very easily impressed. But I think also I'm a little bit like the different one on the lineup. I don't talk like everyone else. I have like a native accent, but even my cadence is like a little bit Americanized. You can feel sometimes like, oh, this is not how a German would tell a joke. The flow of the joke, it feels more like American. And sometimes they really like that, and sometimes they don't. But at least I feel like I have a thing. Like
you
what
got
you were
a
saying.
flavor.
Yeah, I have like a style. And then in English, it's like my style is like what? Like kind of East Coast. That's it. It's like there's millions of me out there. So I feel a little bit more unique in the German scene. Also, amazing scene like that. These comedy clubs are popping up. You can do a set in the main room, then walk down the hallway, pop into the little room 5 minutes later, fix that joke that you just like come up with in the hallway. Someone says, hey, you want to stay for the 10 p.m. show too? You're like, okay, you can do 6 shows in this one comedy club if you're just there. And then run to the other one that's 5 minutes away. It feels like something special right now too. I don't know. Should I not do it because, oh, maybe my English set will not be as good? Like, just do both. See how it goes. I think I was giving myself a lot of passes and excuses before, especially with weed smoking. I'm like, this is all just too much for me. And I'm like, well, maybe if you cut out the weed, you both languages.
Interesting. I thought when you say you quit German comedy, I just thought you didn't enjoy doing it. I didn't realize it was a limitation of capacity. You don't have an infinite amount of time.
It was not just that, but like when it was going well in English, you're in the zone. You feel that in a flow state, you're in the zone. Okay, yeah, easily I can do 30 minutes tomorrow because I've been like building up to it, and it's like I have the set list by heart already. And then going back to German, you're like, well, okay, which jokes do I have again? What was the order? What was the transition to the next one? I do short jokes, so it's hard.
I'm going to add one question because I was about to come to my last question, but you mentioned a very interesting phrase. You said you are more unique in German comedy. And I understand why you're unique because you talk about the cadence. It's your mother tongue, but you speak it in a way that is a different flavor to the German audience.
Yeah.
Where do you see yourself? What kind of comic are you when you do English comedy?
When I do English comedy, if I had to describe it to people, I would say it's East Coast comedy, one-liners, and then with some riffing in between. That's like how I would describe it. I'm like that's more like being a club guy, right? You're not gonna sell out theaters like that. That's like what a club guy would do. And I am more like of a club comic.
I felt when you were answering my question, your real answer was, why are you asking me to answer this question? I don't want to. That's the feeling I got from you. Why? Why is even the question necessary?
Let's play back the tape. Let's see. How did I look? Zoom in. Let's get an instant replay.
But you were incredibly honest when you were answering the question. I
don't have a filter. Yeah, that's the thing.
Yeah, you had a thought and said, yeah, this is kind of who I am. But you treat performing English as being in a zone. It is your safe place. Yeah. It's less about building a very particular niche brand and go for maximum profit. Like, that's not so much as your concern.
I want to have fun.
You know what type or what area you enjoy when you do comedy in English, and that matters more for you.
That's the only thing that matters, and that's why now I need to have this TV writing aspect. This is where I'm going to head and do these two things just to stay sharp and have fun and have purpose in life. There was a German comic. He has a great joke about it. He says, they say, as a job, do what you love, and you'll never work a day in your life. But that's not actually what happens. You'll ruin the one thing that brought joy into your life.
Oh, I've heard a similar version of this recently.
And it's very true. If stand-up comedy would get ruined for me because I'm like this road comic who kind of has been doing it for 15, 20 years, but no one really knows. You still can barely sell out a small club, but you know, you're solid. And now the times are changing and your jokes are not, the style of comedy has changed and you don't even like the new age of comedy. And you're like, what happened to this? This was my one thing. That would be like my nightmare. So TV writing is more of a standardized thing that I could do for the future, and I want to just have fun with stand-up comedy in both German and English as much as possible and see where it goes. The comedy that I fell in love with, the stand-up I fell in love with, was like a couple of years before the social media boom happened. I just caught the last good old days where people were trying to get on the Tonight Show, like do their tight five on like a late night show, and they were all just running from comedy club to comedy club, and they were trying to meet with TV executives and try to get it on Netflix. Like, that was already a thing. Even like Andrew Schultz already had just released his like 1 hour YouTube special, and that was like, people were like, we should all start doing this. We're all getting rejected from the networks. Let's all start doing that. And that was even more inspiring. I was like, okay, that's cool. I like what comedy is. There's no more gatekeepers. That's awesome. And then the reels started happening, and I was like, oh,
no, there's a gatekeeper, and the gatekeeper is called algorithm.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And try posting English clips in Germany where like you have to beat the algorithm. The only way a clip works here is if it's in English, but you're talking about Germans or Berlin, or it's in German. It's like
what if you
so big that it already went viral somewhere else, and now it's being shown here.
Oh, so you're saying the algorithm, they also have the sub-geographical...
It's location-based too, GPS-based.
Oh, Jesus.
And they show your clips to the first 10 random people. 5 or more watch 50% or more, they show it to 100 people.
I'll ask you more about this after we finish the podcast.
Then you can get 1,000 followers like me.
I'm totally making this a video episode this year because he's so good looking. And I know a lot of you are holding gay man, so I will make sure this is
nice.
Because we started with accent, I want to finish with accent. I think that discussion on you trying to be happy doing comedy is incredibly important, and how you sort of grow, moving to a more mature phase.
Yeah.
Before today, I thought today the thing would be, I feel like in comedy, you were that boy who refused to grow up and is still stuck in a man's body. And I think it doesn't apply to the Gino I meet today.
Because I'm still in a boy's body now. You were trying to make it so perfectly sweet, and I ruined it.
No,
See,
I don't.
I was talking about Albanians and stuff in the beginning.
That is not. I'm not trying to be sweet because I want to move back to that sentiment.
Yeah.
Does it still bug you when you perform? You are the identityless man.
Not in Berlin, because who has an identity here, you know? Honestly, look at the lineups. Guys I'm going on tour with, he's Venezuelan, but of 2 German parents. No one ever believes him Venezuelan, and he's too Latino to be German, too, at the same time.
I think that is a perfect answer to my question, and would have been a perfect answer to the whole recording, except do you feel maybe Berlin give you a false sense of comfort? You are in a bubble, that you are in a bubble where people does not get questioned about where they come from, whereas in 90 or 98% of the world, when you perform on a much bigger stage, this kind of question will be asked.
Yeah.
Imagine, for example, if you attend the status of Trevor Noah and you do big stadium show in every country, how are you going to explain who you are as a...
Yeah, I don't think I would ever reach that because I don't honestly want that. I like to stay in cities where that is not questioned. And I don't know if it's like a safety thing or not, or I should just like write jokes about it, but I like Berlin, New York, London, Hamburg, kind of it. Those are the places that they don't even think it's that weird being me, or going in the middle of nowhere where they're just like, oh, that's really interesting, cool, whatever. I don't want to be doing stand-up in like these little towns in Germany in front of like 40-plus-year-old people where they have to explain my identity to them. They're like, all right, so are you German or not? Like, that's all they really want to know. I think the medium of TV writing would be better to showcase this mess that I am, more so than one-liners. That's the thing. I do short jokes, and I love short jokes. I like the writing aspect of comedy more than the I'm expressing myself to you here part. Both are great, and I like to see both, but I'm more like, I want to show that I wrote something that is logical and makes sense and is witty. I would rather be witty than like, oh, you just really connected with me because I had the same upbringing or something like that. I'm like, that's cool, but not really.
See, we managed, because at the beginning it was shooting rifle all over the place, and we managed to make it into a linear discussion, so yeah.
It did, but I thought the beginning was kind of like, I thought that was like the funner part to me. I don't know. Listeners, tell us, which one did you think was better?
We will
the first
end
part
on this, because you mentioned you're going on tour in April, so
yeah.
Where can people find you? I think I will release this episode close to April, actually.
Oh, perfect.
Yes.
So by then, most tickets will probably be sold out. No, I'm joking.
What a cocky ass. Oh, my God.
No. We'll have like 5 tickets sold at that point. My Instagram is at Gino, Gino.comedy. I'll have the links to everything there as well. Yeah, you can find everything there. And also my local shows always in the stories.
Okay, that's been my guest today, Gino Christofaro. Grazie and danke. Okay.
Grazie mille. Pleasure. Thanks for having me.